Dude, this scene where Price ordered. This is the scene where Price shot a fuel depot, killing Kanan. But she's a dumbass because she accidentally destroyed the fuel supply of Thrawn's factory.
The boy especially. Use that against them, Rook.
As a matter of Imperial strategy, Thrawn was not a fan of the Death Star. Taking up too many resources and allowing for the Empire to deploy its presence to only one star system at a time, the Chiss Grand Admiral brought this warning to the Emperor himself. For Thrawn, the Imperial Navy would be better served by a flexible configuration of capital ships and starfighters, and no better starfighter existed for Thrawn's tactics than the TIE Defender. Of course, the Grand Admiral was in the minority when it came to his preference and focus on the Defender. Many within the Imperial Navy preferred a strategy that relied on overwhelming firepower through capital ships, such as the Star Destroyer, or staked their future on the success of the Death Star as the ultimate weapon in the galaxy. But Thrawn did have an ally in his vision for the TIE Defender, who would support the starfighter's future to Palpatine himself, having had first-hand experience with the fighter, the Sith Lord Darth Vader. In this video expose, I will describe what Vader thought about Thrawn's TIE Defender program, and explain Vader's first experience with the starfighter. I will mention that this video does include information from Thrawn alliances, so if you're in the climactic battle during Thrawn and Vader's mission to Batuu, the Sith Lord was given full command of the Chimera's wing of TIE Defenders by the Grand Admiral, with Vader given the ability to act completely at his own discretion. Vader used the opportunity to push the new starfighter to its limits, and experiment with the features that Thrawn had pushed so heavily for. The novel Thrawn Alliances gives an amazing description of Vader's first reaction to the starfighter. As he pulled the throttle all the way back to bring the Defender to its full speed, the novel states that if Vader had been anything other than a Sith Lord, he would have made his surprise known as he was jammed back into his seat by the starfighter's speed and velocity. Although Vader had piloted numerous starfighters both before and after his fall to the dark side, he never experienced anything like the TIE Defender. The only time he felt such power in a starfighter was within his prototype TIE Advanced X1, which was also the only time he ever experienced an almost perfect balance of speed and nimbleness in a fighter as well. Having experienced the laser fire of the enemy sizzle into nothingness against the Defender's shields, and firing off a series of the starfighter's missiles, the experience briefly brought Vader back to his efforts in the Clone War, causing the Sith Lord to fight off memories of the thrill of being in a fighter and the satisfaction of command. In a private conversation with Thrawn after his experience with the Defender, and confirming that the Grand Admiral believed that the Imperial Navy should focus on smaller fighter craft, Vader told him that it was an excellent ship. Further, he informed Thrawn that he would speak to the Emperor personally and offer his support for the starfighter project. However, Vader also had a few adjustments he told Thrawn should be made to the fighter. First, he wanted the starfighter to be both faster and more heavily armed, an interesting suggestion given that it was already one of the leading Imperial starfighters in both categories. Further, he wanted the Defender's controls to be made simpler, so they'd be on low call after their mission. Therefore, given Vader's enthusiasm for the project, one has to wonder what would have happened had Thrawn's project been more fully adopted by the Empire. So there we have it, Vader's thoughts on Thrawn's TIE Defender. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions? Also, if you enjoyed the video, updates regarding the channel. With support that
Hmm.
with the rise of the Galactic Empire, the Imperial Navy opted to rely upon the newly designed TIE Fighter as its
It's been 2 years since I put out a video covering every canon TIE fighter used by the Galactic Empire, the First Order, and now the Sith Eternal Fleet. Since there have been some new additions to the list, it's time for an update. Starting with the basics is, of course, the TIE Fighter. They were the standard starfighter of the Galactic Empire and the template on which all the following variants were based. Armed with 2 laser cannons, they were fast and maneuverable but lacked shielding or hyperdrives. Cheap to make and easy to destroy, they were the epitome of Imperial expendability. Iden Versio had a lightly modified TIE Fighter that carried upgraded weapons. The TIE Fighter Owner's Workshop Manual speaks of the original TIE Fighter prototype that was developed by Scianar Fleet Systems. The original was unable to fly in atmosphere, so after adding structural reinforcement on the wing spars, the prototype was approved. The heavy TIE Fighter was meant to compensate for the fragility of the unshielded TIE Fighters with reinforced armor and much more powerful laser cannons installed on an extra housing pod. The TIE Advanced B-1 was an experimental model that was far less expendable than the standard TIE. It provided the pilot with shields and a hyperdrive. In addition, the solar panels that powered the ship were on the inside of the wings rather than the outside like the standard TIE. This meant the Advanced was more heavily armored, but the solar panels couldn't soak up as much light. Therefore, the panels only powered the weapon sensors and auxiliary systems, and the ship required the engines to run on fuel. It also had shields and a hyperdrive, but no S-foils, and the solar panels were put back on the outside. Its biggest upgrade was in the targeting system, which was highly sophisticated and effective against enemy reflector shields. As of right now, only Darth Vader's personal TIE Advanced X-1 has been seen. The TIE Bomber was the Empire's main source of anti-emplacement air support. They could be seen throughout the galaxy as soon as a decade after the end of the Clone Wars. Like the standard TIE, they carried no shields or hyperdrive. Their bombing bay could be armed with concussion missiles, orbital mines, or proton bombs. You might have seen a ship that looked like a TIE bomber in Rogue One, but those models were actually TIE boarding shuttles. Instead of a bombing bay, the second hull was able to transport and deploy an entire company of stormtroopers. One can also be briefly seen in The Empire Strikes Back delivering Captain Nita to the Executor. There's an even bigger version of the ship that serves a similar purpose called the TIE Lander. The TIE Interceptor was even faster and more maneuverable than the standard TIE, making it one of the fastest starfighters in the galaxy at the time. Still lacking shields or a hyperdrive, it made up for its defensive shortcomings by focusing on offense. 4 laser cannons were mounted to the wings, with 2 more installed on the cockpit itself. The Interceptor entered production after the Empire realized the Advanced X-1 would be too costly to mass produce. By the time of the Battle of Endor, the starfighter made up about 20% of the Empire's fleet. The TIE Defender was another experimental design that went into development on Lothal about 2 years before the Battle of Yavin. They had shields and a hyperdrive, 6 laser cannons mounted on 3 wings, and a missile launcher. They were produced at the request of Grand Admiral Thrawn as a response to the more heavily defended starfighters used by the growing rebel threat. An even stronger version existed called the TIE Defender Elite. It was faster, had more durable shields, a better hyperdrive, and a warhead launcher that could fire up to 6 missiles. Unfortunately for the Empire, the factories on Lothal were shut down by an attack made by the rebel Phoenix Squadron. Yet another experimental fighter called the TIE Striker was a specialized TIE variant designed for atmospheric flight, although it could fly in space. Its large central pod meant it could be used to transport supplies or personnel from orbit to the ground, or it could serve as a proton bombing bay. Within atmosphere, the Striker was faster and more heavily armed than the standard TIE. The wings could rotate between flight mode and attack mode. They were primarily built on Scarab, and after the Citadel's destruction, they were a rare sight in the galaxy. However, some Strikers were mentioned serving during the Battle of Jakku at the end of the Galactic Civil War. The TIE Reaper was a larger but similar design to the TIE Striker. It was primarily used as a troop transport, but little else is currently known about the ship. The Autofighter was created after the Battle of Endor by Imperial Commodore Korda. It was a droid starfighter with no pilot. Its design was based on the TIE automated starfighter from the Legends comic Dark Empire. Korda also developed a walker called the Scuttler, which shares some design features of the TIE fighter. Another Dark Empire ship, the TIE Crawler, also known as the Century Tank, made its way into canon in a Choose Your Destiny book. It was a treaded tank that resembled a TIE fighter. A TIE Scout was mentioned in the book Alphabet Squadron, but it's currently unknown if it shares the same design as the Legends starfighter of the same name pictured here. It was used for reconnaissance missions. Likewise, the canon reference book Complete Vehicles mentions the TIE GT, another Legends fighter, but it provides no pictures, so I assume it looks the same. The GT was a precursor to the TIE Bomber. The Outland TIE has only been seen once so far, flown by Moff Gideon during The Mandalorian. Its wings had the ability to fold in half, similar to the TIE Advanced V1 used by Imperial Inquisitors. It was based off of concept art for The Force Awakens, so it's possible the Outland TIE could be a step in between the Imperial and First Order models. Scion Fleet Systems also provided organizations that fell under the umbrella of the Empire with their own TIE fighters. For example, the Mining Guild received a specialized TIE fighter designed with a yellow color scheme and a notch cut out of their stabilizers, which improved their visibility but diminished their maneuverability. Jumping about 30 years into the future, the First Order still used TIE fighters in their fleet. Their standard TIE model now had shields by default. They received upgraded engines and a darker paint job, but they were otherwise very similar to the standard TIE of the Empire. The First Order also produced a Special Forces variant of the TIE fighter. This model had a hyperdrive as well as shields. They held 2 seats, one for a pilot and one for a gunner. In addition to the normal 2 laser cannons, a dual heavy laser turret was mounted underneath the cockpit, as well as a mag-pulse warhead launcher. The TIE Silencer was a First Order ship that followed in the experimental footsteps of the Empire's TIE prototypes. It was a one-of-a-kind ship piloted by Kylo Ren that had shields, a hyperdrive, 4 laser cannons, and 2 missile launchers. It was classified as a hybrid fighter-bomber. The TIE Baron made its debut in Star Wars Resistance. It was reserved for the First Order's top pilots, a fact made clear by its red color scheme. Like the Special Forces TIE, the Baron was equipped with both shields and a hyperdrive. The TIE Echelon Assault Shuttle was a transport craft used by the First Order. It could hold 12 crew members in addition to cargo, and was armed with 4 heavy laser cannons and 1 light laser cannon turret. One can be seen parked on Batuu at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Little is known about the First Order TIE Bomber. It shared the dual cockpit design of the Imperial TIE Bomber, but its wings were inverted and it carried extra armament. They were seen attacking planets that helped the Resistance after the Battle of Crait. The TIE Whisper's Starfighter was the next step in TIE fighter design after the standard and Special Forces TIEs used by the First Order. Elements of its design were used for the modified TIE Whisper Interceptor seen used by Kylo Ren. The Interceptor had 5 laser cannons installed on each wing, 2 beneath the cockpit, and the heavy weapons turret on top of all that. It was designed for extended journeys through hyperspace. Finally, the TIE Dagger was the only TIE fighter.
Nacho TIE fighters.
Its triangular wings each held a heavy laser cannon in addition to the 2 mounted in the cockpit. They carried shields but no hyperdrive, and the red stripe on its wings signified their allegiance to the Sith rather than the First Order. As of right now, that's every canon TIE model. If you haven't seen my Legends version of this video, you can watch it right here, but be ready for some really bizarre designs. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.
Every major super weapon.
Your kitten depends on you, and you can depend on Blue for the nutrition growing kittens need. All Blue kitten foods start with real meat and are made with the ingredients kittens need to grow up healthy and strong. Help give your new best friend a healthy start with Blue Buffalo.
Oh, hey, it's Dominance.
You know, legend has it they drove cross country just one dog.
That's what they say.
In Star Wars, the term superweapon refers to weapons like the Death Star or Starkiller Base that held immense power. Well, there are 25 major superweapons in the Star Wars universe, and in today's video we're covering them all. We'll start with the canon-only weapons first, and then I'll get into Legends. This list is specifically for Death Star-like weapons. Some ships, like the Malevolence of the Clone Wars, or even mega lasers like the Silent weapons in Legends, but I'm just going to be covering the major, planet-devastating, galaxy-threatening weapons. The earliest known canon superweapon is the Sith Temple on Malachor. It was powered by a massive kyber crystal. Thousands of years before the Battle of Yavin, the Jedi caught wind of its existence and attacked it. The temple's weapon was fired and petrified all surrounding life in what became known as the Scourge of Malachor. Next up is, of course, the Galactic Empire's Death Star. A battle station the size of a moon, its primary weapon was a super laser also powered by a giant kyber crystal. It had the ability to destroy an entire planet in a single blast. It was destroyed by the Rebel Alliance during the Battle of Yavin. Its successor was the Death Star II. It was larger than the original Death Star, but for all intents and purposes, it was the same basic idea. It was also destroyed by the Rebel Alliance at the Battle of Endor. The final canon superweapon is Starkiller Base. Originally an ice planet in the unknown regions, the First Order transformed it into a mobile weapon with enough power to destroy entire star systems. It used the energy from nearby stars to charge its primary weapon and harnessed a dark energy called quintessence to fire a light speed beam across the galaxy, which could then split apart and destroy an entire system. Starkiller Base was in turn destroyed by the Resistance. Moving on to Legends, the earliest known superweapon was called Centerpoint Station. 100,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, it was built by the Killiks under the instruction of the Force Wielders. It had the ability to project a tractor beam through hyperspace strong enough to grip planets or even stars. It could then move its target or destroy it by using the tractor beam technology to collapse its core. It wasn't destroyed until 40 years after the Battle of Yavin. The Starforge was built by the Rakatan Infinite Empire 30,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. Similar to Starkiller Base, it used the power of a nearby star to power the manufacturing of endless ships, droids, or other war machines. It was destroyed about 26,000 years later by Revan, Bastila Shan, and a Republic fleet at the end of the Jedi Civil War. The Cosmic Turbine was a planet-sized structure that was possibly created by the Celestials. Not much is known about it other than a group of Dark Jedi took control of it, but only succeeded in destroying themselves and the Voltar system about 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. The Planet Chongo were Hutt superweapons that were developed sometime prior to 15,000 BBY. They were able to weaponize space rocks by accelerating them to speeds that could crack open a planet's core.
God.
They were likely destroyed during the Hutt cataclysms. The Infinity Gate was a network of structures that could provide near-instant travel across the galaxy. The gates could also be used to fire infinity waves that were able to suck entire worlds into infinity, presumably killing all life there. The Dark Reaper was created 5,000 years before the Battle of Yavin and could kill anything within its range by draining force energies. It would then convert that energy into highly destructive turbo laser beams. Hammer Station was a prototype battle station built by the Old Republic. It used a gravity cannon that could launch asteroids at any given target at near light speeds. The mass shadow generator was used by Revan to end the Mandalorian Wars at Malachor 5. It used the gravity of a planet to crush all life in and around the planet, but also devastated the target planet in the process. The Desolator was a Sith, ship-mounted, planet-killing weapon that was successfully tested on the planet Euphrates, but was destroyed before it could be used again. The Shockin device was designed to be the most destructive superweapon in history. It was intended to destroy the planet Shockin and hurl its fragments at light speed throughout the galaxy, which would in turn destroy more planets and send their fragments out, causing a chain reaction that could potentially destroy all life in the universe.
Jeez.
It was never fired, and it's unclear whether or not it would have actually worked. The Trigon 1 was a weaponized satellite built by the Galactic Empire that theoretically had the power to destroy an entire planet, but it was destroyed before it could be used. The Infant of Shah was a relic that could gather force energy and then release it all in one burst that was strong enough to rip a planet apart. Jedi Master Yarl Poof was able to successfully disarm it at the cost of his own life. The Death Star prototype was the predecessor to both Death Stars and Legends. It was built simply as the frame and was only powerful enough to destroy a planet's core, which still rendered it completely uninhabitable. The Orbital Night Cloak was a network of satellites that could cover an entire planet in darkness. Without access to its sun, the planet and its life forms would eventually freeze to death. The Tarkin was similar to the Death Star in that it came equipped with a large super laser that could destroy an entire planet. However, it was the size of a warship rather than a battle station. Along those same lines, the Conqueror was an Imperial Star Destroyer armed with the same super laser. The Sun Crusher was one of the most powerful super weapons ever created. It was small in size, but nearly indestructible. It had the power to destroy entire star systems by firing into a system's star, causing it to supernova. It was destroyed by sending it into the Maw cluster of black holes. The Galaxy Gun was yet another planet destroyer built by the Galactic Empire. It fired hyperdrive-capable projectiles with particle disintegrator warheads. The Empire's world devastators used tractor beam technology to physically rip a planet apart. They would then collect the planet's natural resources and use them for military parts. The Darksaber was built by Durga the Hutt 12 years after the Battle of Yavin. Its design was based on original plans for the Death Star, and construction was overseen by Bevel Limitless, the Death Star's chief architect. It was simply created to be a super laser in a steel case. Yogon's core was a Yuzon Vong biotechnological battle tactic that used a creature called a Dovin Basil to manipulate the gravity of a planet. The creature would pull a planet's moon into the planet itself, wiping out most of the life there, if not destroying the planet entirely. And that's all the major super weapons of Star Wars. Again, there are many other weapons that are technically labeled super, but they don't have nearly the amount of destructive power as the ones mentioned in this video. I'm thinking sometime down the line I'll do a list of the minor super weapons and their abilities. If you liked this video, you might like the video I did on every TIE Fighter variant, or every AT series walker. You can see those videos here. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel to see new Star Wars videos every Monday through Friday. As always, thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you.
I'm gonna sit there. Tomorrow I'll be painting the roads. Bye.